Hello, so welcome back. If you are watching this, that means you have watched part 1. This is part 2 of my labor delivery, which is a continuation of postpartum, grief, and everything in between. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Giselle. If you are joining me back, welcome back. Bear with me as this video is going to be a lot harder for me to talk, to say kind of what I want to say, and also still be very mindful of the things that I am going to say. Trigger warning, I am going to be talking about depression, I'm going to be talking about grief, I'm going to be talking about all the things. And yeah, so let's get into today's video. So postpartum, my first 2 weeks were really good. Like, I did not experience like the postpartum blues, like depression. No, I was doing so good. My husband has been here with me the whole time for, of course, parental leave, and he has been such a huge help. Once I got home, of course, I had a major surgery, C-section, and I think mine was a little bit more intense just because of everything that I had kind of encountered. So it was very hard for me to move around. I was on painkillers because it was like hurting a lot. Walking was a little bit difficult for me just because I didn't get up from the bed like 6-8 hours after a normal C-section patient would. I got out of bed 24 hours later, and it was extremely hard for me to get my body moving. And I was so swollen. I was still very swollen by then. So being home, I felt so much better. My blood pressure started doing better. My parents would come like every day, check up on me, check up on the baby. And so life was good. I was so happy that I finally had my miracle baby here with me. We had done this. It's a new chapter. It's a new chapter in my life of mommyhood. It's a new Giselle, per se. And on August 15th at 2 o'clock in the morning, my life changed forever. I got a call from my brother that night that they had rushed my dad to the hospital. They called the emergency services. They took him to the hospital. And unfortunately, my father did not make it, and my father passed. And my whole world flipped upside down. I've always talked about my parents on here, how close I live to them, how close I am to them, and I am daddy's baby girl. Me and my dad are like this. You saw my dad, you saw me. If you saw me, you saw my dad. I have been very, very, very close to my dad my whole entire life. He was everything to me. And we talked, even though we lived like 10 minutes away from each other, we called each other every night. Like if I wasn't over there, he was over here. When the baby was born, he was here like every day. Every day he found an excuse to be here, to see the baby. And even throughout my whole pregnancy, he had been there the whole time. So not only am I facing a new chapter in my life of becoming a mom, and that has changed me as a person, now grief has changed me once again. And it's been a month and a half since my dad passed, and it's still very fresh. I think I still cry every day. I have never experienced grief so close before, and so it's been very hard for me to navigate, because in one hand I am so happy and my heart is so full when I see her, and I am so thankful to God for giving us such a precious miracle. And on the other hand, my heart is broken. My world has collapsed. And the one person that I wanted to experience my life with as a mom is my dad. Because my dad, not only was he the best father, he was also an amazing grandfather. And I know he loved her so much. And she doesn't get that. Life is so cruel, and sometimes we don't understand why things happen. And it's been very hard for me to juggle those two feelings, because on one hand I'm trying to be the best mom, the best version of myself for her, and then on the other hand I am a grieving daughter, and I feel like a little girl who doesn't know what to do because her dad's not here. And I have my husband, I have my mom, you know, and I have her to kind of just keep going and be strong for. But it's a whole new ground that I never in a million years thought I would be walking. And so I don't necessarily think I am like depressed. I am more sad than anything. I am sad, I am frustrated, I feel angry at times. Sad, one, because I lost my father, and angry because now she doesn't get to experience the best human being in this world. And every day is a day to try to survive. It's like surviving mode for me in a sense. Before moving into this house, my dad did a lot of work in this particular home. So everywhere I look at, there's not a wall that he has not touched. Her room was completely done by my dad. And when I'm talking about completely done, I mean the walls were painted, the doors were painted, the frames, the ceiling fan was put on by my dad. The closet got remade by my dad, my husband, and another family friend. And so everything in her room has been touched by my dad. Her furniture, down to her furniture, my dad bought everything. And so, well, between him and my mom, and it's even hard to go into her room and not get emotional, not get upset. But I also love being in that room because so much of him is in there. And so yeah, I've been trying to search for people who are kind of going through what I'm going, and I have not. How do you go through giving birth and 13 days later your dad, your best friend, your anchor to this world is gone? And I think the first month I was very numb to to knowing that he's not here, to knowing that I no longer have him, that I can't just pick up the phone and hear his voice, and that he's missing out on the best parts of her, like, and yeah, that's where I'm at. This is postpartum for me now. The grief, I can say, definitely has intensified because of my postpartum and because I'm dealing with all the hormonal changes still, and one day I wake up okay, and then another day I don't. And I have literally isolated myself from like the world at this point. So me sitting here recording is also hard because there's so much I want to say, but there's so much that I want to not say just for privacy reasons, you know, personal reasons. And I'm in a stage, or I'm in a point where I don't really want to talk to people, because people, first of all, talking about grief is very taboo, and not a lot of people understand grief because they've, one, maybe never experienced firsthand, and if they have experienced it, it has been in many different ways. And sometimes people say things that are just like, really? And so I've been avoiding people because of that. I've been keeping to myself because in all reality, no one really understands what I'm going through, with my mind being a new mom and then losing my dad. It's hard for me to put into words how I truly feel sometimes. And if you are going through grief yourself, you're not alone. I've always said, women who are in this TTC journey, you're not alone. And now I'm in a whole different category. Not only am I an IVF mom, but I'm also a grieving daughter that's new. And I'm also dealing with postpartum. And you know, the day that we literally picked her name, the day we had her, we were stuck between Anaya, Janaya. We've always liked Gianna. I've always liked Gia. And my husband's like, no, I don't like that name. And but I'm like, I like Gianna. And it's like my mom and my name put together, Giselle, Anna, Gianna. So I kind of wanted that to kind of like also represent something that, you know, my mom can be a part of as well. And I knew God was always gracious with us and allowing us to get pregnant. And so my mentality was like, God is gracious because he's allowed me to get pregnant. He's allowed me to have this baby. And so the day of, I was like, I looked at my husband, I'm like, I think I'm gonna go with Gianna. And we had picked Amari out because it's a prayer that was answered, a promise from God. And you know, she's a promise from God, so Amari was gonna stick. And after my dad passed away, her name means so much more, because in the midst of everything, I think if I wouldn't have had her, I would be beyond broken. Like, I would be beyond repair right now at the loss of my father if I didn't have her. I think I would have lost myself. And because God is so gracious, He knew I needed someone to help me through with the grief of my father, and He gave me Gianna. And so yes, her name means so much more to me now. She is my rock. She is my world. She keeps me going every day because I know my dad would be like, you need to get up and you need to take care of this little girl. And I always hear his voice in the back of my mind, like, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. And she keeps me going. You know, first God, but she keeps me going. And so this is my new life. I'm not the same just how I was August 14th. On August 14th was the last day I saw my dad. He was here with us hours before he passed. And if you're wondering, was he sick? No, my dad was a healthy man. My dad passed suddenly. What they're telling us is due to sudden cardiac arrest. And there was no bringing him back. So it's something that I'm also working through, like understanding how does a healthy man, like, yeah. So it's one of those things that I think I will never understand until I ask God. My relationship with God has not changed due to the circumstances. There's days where my flesh, and this is me being real and vulnerable and authentic in a way, as a Christian, speaking as a Christian, there's days where my flesh just wants to get angry at God and wants to demand God answers. But my spirit is so grateful and blessed that He's giving us Gianna, that He's giving me the opportunity to have the most amazing father I could have had, because I could have had someone worse. I could possibly not have a father, but God gave me the ability to meet my dad, have my dad in my life, and experience a wonderful life with my dad. Because my dad did a lot when he was young, and if it wasn't because he met God at the time he met God, my dad would not be here a long time ago. Let's put it that way. And so I feel like there is no room for me getting mad at God. As much as my flesh wants to. And that's just the reality, right? We're human. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And as a Christian, we're okay to grieve. We're okay to cry. We're okay to, of course, we're gonna always ask God why, and we're gonna ask God a lot of questions in this process. And I think that's where I am right now. And understanding what this new life looks like for me without my dad, because every time she turns a month, it's a month that he's not here, and that bothers me. It does. You know, her first Thanksgiving is our first Thanksgiving without him. Our first Christmas is our first Christmas without him. My first birthday with her is my first birthday without my dad. And then her first birthday will be her first birthday without him too. And so everything that's a first for her, it's a first for us with as well, with not having him in the picture. And that hurts so much. But I will keep his memory alive. I will make sure she knows who he is and what a great grandfather he was to her already, and how much he loved her. Every day I went to the house to visit him, he would touch my belly and talk to the baby. And he waited so long for her. So not only was I waiting for my miracle, but my dad was too. And he always asked me, when are you gonna have a baby? And he didn't really, I don't think he comprehended IVF, so I was like, Dad, whenever God wants me to. But I thank God every day that I have her, because if I didn't, I would not be able to pick up this camera again. And so I'm trying to get back into the things that I used to do, which is very hard for me, like my makeup videos, YouTube videos, just everything that I used to do prior. It's just so hard for me to kind of get back and do, because now it has a different meaning, it has a different feeling to it. But I want to start documenting my journey as a grieving daughter and a new mom, because I don't know who else will face this. I don't know who else has faced this, or I don't know who is currently going through it like I am. And if you're any of those, I am here. You're not alone. Reach out to me if you need somebody to talk to or someone to pray for you. Prayers are more than welcomed, because I definitely need strength every day to get up. And again, every day is a rough day, because it's a day that I'm entering without him. And yeah, it's very hard. But I'm learning what grief looks like, because grief is now my new norm. It's never gonna go away. There might be days that might be lighter, but there are days that are definitely heavy, and I'm experiencing that. Grief comes in waves, and I've described it before, is like that uninvited family member, that uninvited friend that shows up at the party and you're like, why are you here? But you gotta deal with it. And that's how I'm looking at grief right now. Oh, that's the baby. Oh, it's okay, honey. She fell asleep. She's like, where am I? And so that's grief. I was literally driving to the grocery store with my husband, and I just started bawling, crying. It hit me out of nowhere. And I think that's what I need to get used to, because it does hit me out of nowhere. And that for me is the hardest part, because I don't really like to show people my emotions. And grief is something that just comes out of nowhere, and wherever you are or whoever you're talking to, it just comes on and there's no stopping it. So if you would like to hear more about my journey and how I do on a regular basis, how I deal with certain things as they come up, feel free to give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know that you're interested in this topic. It lets me know that no matter how taboo infertility, IVF, postpartum, and grief topics are, that we can still talk about it, especially as a Christian. I don't think a lot of Christians talk a lot about postpartum or the postpartum depression part. I don't think a lot of people, Christian people, talk about grief, because you're supposed to just kind of keep moving on with life because you know they're in a better place because they're not suffering, which that right now to me is like, don't say that to me because I don't see it that way. But it's okay to have your own thoughts and your own way of processing death and grief and all in between. And I know I went from like a yay video to like a deep, heavy, emotional video, but this is my reality. And yeah, I really don't have many other words to say but that my content will definitely shift now that I am in this new ground that I've never ever experienced in my life. One, being a mom, and two, grief. I am seeking professional help, so I am seeing a therapist. I'm not ashamed of saying that I'm seeing a therapist because I truly believe that if there's a situation where we need professional help, that God has put those individuals there for a reason. And so as a Christian, some people believe in that, some people don't, but I truly believe in prayer, but also in getting the help professionally that I need to get to where I need to get to cope with how I need to cope, you know, how to cope with things, and to have the proper resources and tools at my hands for whenever I need it. And when grief hits, I have those tools to know how to navigate through it, and also to know how to be a good mom to her and be the best version of myself to her while I'm also grieving. And I think all of that is okay, and I'm learning that. I'm learning that it's okay to be happy with her but yet have my moments. I'm learning that even if I'm holding her and I'm grieving my father and crying, that it's okay. I used to be scared at first to cry with her in my arms, but she is such a happy baby, and when she looks at me now and she smiles, it just validates, you know what, Mom, have your feelings, be in your feelings, but you still make me happy, and I'm still a happy baby, and I am a healthy baby, and we're gonna get through this together, is what her smile lets me know. And so yeah, so again, I apologize for such a heavy video, but it's my reality, and I want to be able to document and share my reality in case anybody out there is also in need to hear someone who's going through the same thing. Let me know in the comments below if you've experienced grief, if you have experienced what I'm experiencing, where you had your baby and a family member has passed, a close family member has passed. How did you deal with it? How are you doing? Because every day is, I know it's his own day. I don't look forward to future days. I look forward to getting through this day now and worrying about this day. And yeah, so anyways, let me know in the comments below. For all those out there who were going through IVF in my previous videos that have commented, I hope that you all had successful transfers and that you're pregnant and that you're experiencing your first baby and all the things. I pray nothing but good things over all of those individuals' lives. I know a lot of you have commented and saying that you were going through your transfer, that you were getting your, you were going through the 2-week wait. And so again, I apologize again for being so absent. I don't think I need to apologize, because when life hits, it hits, and everything else can be put on the back burner and put on pause. Again, we are ending September, we're entering October. I don't know when I will post this video or any of the other videos, so please bear with me, be patient with me if there's a delay in videos. I'm just trying to get through each day one at a time. And so yeah, I will try to document as much as I can in this journey. It might be more of a daily vlog type of video style, because again, that's just how mommyhood is and that's just how grief is. And yeah, so I hope that you guys all have a blessed day, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. Stay safe out there, and yeah, so I hope you guys have a good one. Bye.